3 seconds. That is how long Pam Bondi hesitated. Representative Sydney Kamlager-Dove asked her a simple question. 4 words, yes or no answer, and the Attorney General of the United States sat there in silence for 3 full seconds. The cameras caught it. The hesitation, the calculation. The moment before she committed to an answer she knew was about to be destroyed. Do you believe that President Trump is honest? Watch what happened next, because Bondi eventually said yes, and then Kamlager-Dove did something devastating. She didn't argue. She didn't debate. She just read a list. 6 documented lies. 6 times Trump said something demonstrably false. 6 pieces of evidence that the person Bondi just vouched for under oath has 0 credibility. And one of those lies, Bondi's own office proved it was false. Subscribe right now and hit that bell, because this exchange is a masterclass in how to trap a witness with their own words and their own record. House Judiciary Committee, the 11th of February, 2026, afternoon session. Sydney Kamlager-Dove from California's 37th District, former state senator, member of the Congressional Black Caucus, someone who doesn't waste time on procedural niceties when there is accountability work to do. She'd watched Bondi deflect, attack, and pivot for hours. She'd seen the Attorney General refuse to acknowledge Epstein survivors. She'd watched Bondi call Jamie Raskin, not even a lawyer, and tell Joe Neguse he doesn't get to reclaim his time. The pattern was clear. Bondi would do anything except answer questions honestly about Trump's conduct. So Kamlager-Dove decided to make it explicit, to ask the question that exposed the entire relationship, to force Bondi to either admit Trump lies or defend someone indefensible. But first, Kamlager-Dove set the trap. She didn't lead with the honesty question. She started with a specific case, a case so clear, so documented, so undeniably false that even Bondi couldn't spin it. The Melissa Hortman murders. Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband were assassinated in June 2025. Political killings. Shocking violence against a Democratic elected official. Law enforcement investigated. The Department of Justice under Pam Bondi prosecuted the case. They caught the killer. They built the case. They proved who did it. And it wasn't Governor Tim Walz, but Donald Trump said it was. Trump pushed a conspiracy theory on social media, claiming that Minnesota's Democratic governor was somehow involved in the political assassination. He didn't suggest, he didn't imply, he accused directly, publicly. A sitting president accusing a sitting governor of murder. Kamlager-Dove knew this, and she knew something else. Bondi's office had prosecuted the actual killer, which meant Bondi's Department of Justice had officially, legally, in a court of law, proven that Walz wasn't involved. The evidence was documented. The case was closed. Trump's accusation was demonstrably false, and Bondi knew it. She had to know it. It was her office's case. It wasn't true, Kamlager-Dove said, looking directly at Bondi. And you know it wasn't true, or else you would not have brought an indictment against the subject. Perfect framing. Bondi's own prosecutorial decision proved Trump lied. There was no wiggle room, no interpretation, no taken out of context. The DOJ charged someone else, which means Walz didn't do it, which means Trump lied. Then Kamlager-Dove expanded. Do you know what else Trump has said? She didn't wait for an answer. She started reading, each lie documented, each one provable. He has said he cut gas prices by 1,400%. False. First lie, gas prices didn't drop 1,400%. They didn't drop 140%. The number was completely fabricated. Anyone can check gas price data. The claim is demonstrably false that he won the 2020 election. False. Second lie. Documented in court cases, recounts, certifications, and every credible investigation conducted by election officials in both parties. That he didn't know Epstein. False. Third lie. Photographs exist showing them together at parties. Videos exist of them socializing. Court documents reference their relationship. Trump knew Epstein. They were friends for years. Denying that relationship is denying documented reality. That he sent water to LA during the wildfires. False. Fourth lie. Lay officials confirmed no federal water assistance arrived. Emergency management records show no such delivery. That Governor Wes Moore of Maryland called him the greatest president of his lifetime. False fifth lie. Governor Moore never said that. His office denied it. No recording exists. The quote was invented. Pause right now and feel the weight of this moment. Kamlager-Dove wasn't speculating. She wasn't interpreting. She wasn't offering opinions. She was reading documented falsehoods. Things Trump said that are provably, demonstrably, factually false. And she did it calmly, methodically, like reading a grocery list, because that is what it was, a list of lies, so many she said. Too many to keep up. That phrase hit different. Not a few lies or some false statements. Too many to keep up, an overwhelming volume of dishonesty. So constant, so pervasive, that tracking them all becomes impossible. And that is when Kamlager-Dove asked the question, Do you believe that President Trump is honest? 4 words. Simple question, the kind of question that should produce an immediate answer. Either you believe someone is honest or you don't. Either their word is reliable or it isn't. Either they tell the truth or they lie. Bondi hesitated 3 full seconds of silence on camera. In a congressional hearing, the Attorney General of the United States asked if the president who appointed her is honest, couldn't immediately say yes. Think about what that hesitation reveals. If someone asks you if your spouse is honest, you don't pause. If someone asks if your business partner is honest, you don't calculate. If someone asks if your friend is honest, you don't need 3 seconds to formulate an answer. You just say yes or no based on what you know to be true. Bondi's hesitation told everyone watching that she knew the answer was complicated, that she knew Trump lies, that she knew the question was a trap. But she also knew she couldn't say no, couldn't admit under oath in congressional testimony that the president is dishonest. So she said what she had to say, of course I do, of course I do. As if the question itself was absurd, as if Trump's honesty was so obvious it didn't require discussion. But then she added something revealing. He is the commander-in-chief, not he is honest because he tells the truth. Not he is honest because his statements are accurate. Not he is honest because he has never lied to me. He is honest because he is the commander-in-chief. As if the position confers honesty automatically. As if holding office means you can't lie. As if being president makes your false statements somehow true. If you are watching this, hit that like button right now. Because what comes next is why Kamlager-Dove's questioning strategy was so devastating. She didn't argue with Bondi's answer. She didn't challenge the logic. She didn't point out that being commander-in-chief has nothing to do with honesty. She just circled back to the evidence. The list of lies she'd already read, the Walls conspiracy her office had disproven, and she asked a follow-up question that made Bondi's position impossible. Do you agree that President Trump undermined public trust in law enforcement by suggesting that Governor Walz was involved in the Hortman murders? Perfect question, because either Bondi agrees Trump undermined trust, which contradicts her claim that he is honest, or she defends Trump's conspiracy theory, which contradicts her office's prosecution. Bondi chose option 3, deflection. I am not familiar with that statement. Stop. Let that answer sit for a moment. The Attorney General of the United States claims she is not familiar with a public statement by the president accusing a governor of murder, a statement about a case her office prosecuted, a statement that directly contradicted the evidence her prosecutors presented in court, a statement so inflammatory, so serious, so clearly false that it should have prompted immediate correction from the DOJ. And she is not familiar with it. Either Bondi genuinely doesn't know what the president says publicly about cases her office handles, which is staggering incompetence, or she does know and is lying about it, which proves she is as dishonest as the president she defends. Either way, the answer destroyed her credibility. Kamlager-Dove didn't miss a beat. That is a disappointing response. And it is also why your office and Donald Trump have zero credibility. Zero credibility, not reduced credibility or questionable credibility. Zero. Because when the Attorney General claims ignorance about something her office directly disproved, when she vouches for someone's honesty immediately after being presented with documented lies, when she defends false statements by claiming she is unaware of them, she has no credibility left. The currency of trust has been completely devalued. Nothing she says can be taken at face value because she is proven. She'll say whatever protects Trump regardless of truth. But Kamlager-Dove wasn't done. She expanded to show this wasn't just about one lie or one deflection. This was a pattern, a systematic problem. Do you know what Trump said about the Hortman murders? She quoted him. The radicals on the left are the problem, and they're vicious, and they're horrible, and they're politically savvy. Trump dismissed the political assassination of a Democratic House Speaker as a problem caused by radicals on the left, while spreading a conspiracy theory blaming a Democratic governor. While Bondi's office was prosecuting the actual killer, that is not just dishonest, that is dangerous. That is using presidential authority to spread disinformation about a murder case, and Bondi defended it by claiming ignorance. Then Kamlager-Dove revealed something even more damning. The data, the Department of Justice publishes reports on domestic terrorism. Those reports show what every credible analysis shows. Far-right extremists commit more acts of domestic terrorism than left-wing extremists. The data is clear, the pattern is documented, the threat is real. And under Bondi's leadership, that data disappeared. You scrubbed the data, Kamlager-Dove said. Not you revised the methodology or you updated the analysis. You scrubbed. You deliberately removed factual information because it contradicted the political narrative you wanted to advance. While Trump talks about radicals on the left, The actual evidence shows the violence comes overwhelmingly from the right. And Bondi made sure the American people couldn't see that evidence. Stop taking down reports that, the American people need to know about, Kamlager-Dove said. Her voice was firm, urgent. There are violent, dangerous people out here with real threats. This wasn't about partisan politics. This was about public safety, about the government's responsibility to provide accurate information about threats. When you scrub data showing far-right extremism is the primary domestic terrorism threat, you leave communities vulnerable. You prevent law enforcement from allocating resources appropriately. You protect violent actors by hiding the pattern of their violence. That is not politics. That is a dereliction of duty. And it is all in service of protecting a president who lies constantly and an administration that prioritizes loyalty over truth. Kamlager-Dove ended with two words that summarize the entire exchange. Do better. Not a question, a command, an expectation. A statement that what Bondi was doing, defending lies, scrubbing data, claiming ignorance about statements her office disproved, was beneath the office she held. The Attorney General of the United States should do better than vouching for someone with too many lies to keep up with. Should do better than claiming unfamiliarity with false statements that undermine her own office's work. Should do better than removing factual data because it contradicts political messaging. Because what you are doing now is a disgrace. Here is why this exchange matters beyond one hearing. Bondi's answer, "Of course I do. He is the commander-in-chief," reveals how the Trump administration views truth. It is not about accuracy. It is not about evidence. It is about loyalty. Trump is honest because he is president and Bondi works for him. The position determines the answer. The relationship overrides the facts. When Kamlager-Dove presented documented lies, Bondi couldn't engage because evidence was irrelevant to her framework. Trump's honesty isn't a factual question. It is a loyalty statement to a firm. And when pressed on the Walls conspiracy her own office disproved, Bondi claimed ignorance. Not because she didn't know, because admitting knowledge would require either defending an indefensible lie or contradicting her loyalty statement. So she pretended it never happened. That is not just dishonest. It is institutional breakdown. The data scrubbing revealed the same pattern. When DOJ reports showed far-right extremism was the primary domestic terrorism threat that contradicted Trump's radicals on the left messaging. So the data disappeared, not because methodology was flawed, because truth was politically problematic. And in Bondi's dugage, political problems get solved by hiding truth. That is how you get zero credibility. Subscribe now, because this story doesn't end here. The credibility crisis Kamlager-Dove exposed isn't just about one hearing. It is about whether truth matters in American government, whether facts can be scrubbed when inconvenient, whether the Attorney General can defend presidential lies under oath, whether Commander-in-Chief substitutes for honesty. Based on that hearing room, truth has become negotiable, facts have become optional, and credibility has become zero. 3 seconds of hesitation revealed even Bondi knew the answer was problematic. That defending Trump's honesty required calculation rather than simple truth-telling. Then the list 6 documented lies, too many to keep up with. A Walls conspiracy, her office disproved. Data scrubbed to hide far-right violence. And 2 final words, do better. Because what Bondi did, vouching for documented dishonesty, scrubbing contradictory data, claiming ignorance about statements her office disproved, wasn't just bad testimony. It was betrayal of the office she holds. And Kamlager-Dove made sure everyone watching knew it.